welcome back. For our next speaker, it is my pleasure to introduce Betsy O'Neill Collie. Betsy is the Director of Operations and Program Manager at Maryland MBIA. She also one day a week is the Business Development Manager at Harbor Launch at the Institute of Marine and Environmental Technology in Baltimore, Maryland. Harbor Launch is a startup incubator and research community for science and science support companies. In her role as Business Development Manager, she serves the Harbor Launch community by providing resources, connections, and programs to help innovators advance in their professional journey. One program that Betsy has been deeply involved with recently is the Maryland Innovation Challenge, which launched just a few months ago. It is a bold public-private partnership designed to bring together the corporate and innovation community in Maryland. Today, Betsy will share with us how the Innovation Challenge was developed, how it is progressing, and maybe some lessons learned that may make replicating it easier in other states. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Betsy. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Sandra, so much for the opportunity to talk to you all. I speak here humbly, having initiated the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge, which was an outshoot of the Maryland Business Innovation Association. But I want to kind of go back and give you a little history on me and how we got here, and what kind of crazy ideas we were having back in, the very nascent early parts of COVID to launch this. But the Maryland Business Innovation Association is basically a network of all of the incubators and accelerators and co-working spaces in Maryland. And I don't know how your association is similar or different. Sandra, maybe you can tell me that. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm not sure how different we are. I mean, the Michigan Business Innovation Association is a member organization. Various individuals and entities pay an annual membership to be part of the organization, and we take on a variety of initiatives to benefit our members. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. If that's what you do, that's what we do.
I think we do. Then we have the same, MBIA. We're like sister organizations. So just to put that into perspective, about 3 years ago, I came on as a consultant to really kind of re-identify how the Maryland Business Innovation Association fits in and serves the ecosystem. And we rebranded and we identified that we are an organization that with a vision of creating an ecosystem where innovation succeeds. That is what we do. So we decide when we wake up every day and moving forward that we will do efforts to help our founders, to help all stakeholders be successful. And it is a volunteer board run association. I work on behalf of that association about 1.25 days a week. And then I work also on behalf of the Harbor Launch about another day a week. So you can imagine this is a very, it's one that one kind of sits on top of the other, but it's a very interesting time right now because seriously, we have so much talent, just as your community, I'm sure does. We have a very strong health and bio industry research-oriented ecosystem. We also have very strong cybersecurity. We're seeing things branch out. Sustainable energy is also very important. So we've got a lot of different things that we're trying to accomplish, and we have a lot of major stakeholders. And it's an exciting time, and it's a frustrating time because there, especially, now we're trying to figure out how to actively help our companies, our founders, our researchers be better, quicker, faster, smarter, quicker. We want them to be successful quicker, build jobs, do everything that you're doing. So Long story short, back in April, the Maryland Department of Commerce, this is the story behind the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge, the MBBIC.org. And I know I sent you all out I hope that you received a vision document that pretty much explained what I put when I wrote the grant to Maryland Department of Commerce to potentially launch this program. And I know that Charles talked a little bit about a program in I guess it was Cleveland about, it was kind of a reverse pitch. It's bringing companies that have, challenges and trying to, incite solutions through the innovation community. That in the core is really truly what the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge is and how it was designed. I built it. I wrote the grant. We got a, I don't know, maybe some people would say it was significant. It was a small grant from Maryland Department of Commerce to move forward with a program that would be basically this, reverse pitch, crowdsource mechanism to bring together the innovation community along with the corporate communities. They would solve problems. The innovators would get a new, good, significant client. It could potentially build and expand their business, possibly pivot a new offering. The corporations would become more competitive. They'd get, they'd be able to move forward with maybe a new technology or mindset of offering, and ultimately everybody would succeed. So I built that grant in April of 2020, and we were just getting into COVID. So you can imagine, we're all wondering, what is the fall going to look like? How is this all going to play out? And with very, 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 with naivety, everybody was thinking, hey, the fall's going to be great. We're going to, get through this. So, the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge was, we're going to be putting together this kind of, reverse pitch. Everybody's going to get involved. We're going to have in-person programs and it'll be great. We'll bring the innovation community with the founder community and all the players in between. And it'll be another new opportunity to explore and embrace open innovation and building out our community. Well, we all know that things were not very clear. So when I built the challenge, I built it in 3 phases, and I actually have a little screen share. I don't know if I can share my screen. I wanted to kind of share how we kind of went about it, and hopefully that will give you more insights on what maybe you should or should not do. Let me see here. So basically, we built it in 3 phases. I decided that it was going to be hard to understand what we were going to, be up against. So the first 3 months were strictly on discovery. We recruited an ideation and planning committee to come together that incorporated economic development leaders from like Maryland Department of Commerce, from VCs, from the innovation centers and incubators around the region. And we came together and we basically created this framework. And the goal here was to establish the brand, which we did. And if you, I'll show you what that looks like. We established the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge. And we identified that our mission was to provide a deliberate mechanism for corporations to leverage the Maryland innovation ecosystem to advance their competitive advantage while creating mutual benefits for all. And our vision was an ecosystem in which innovation thrives. And the notion was we're going to be bringing a whole new component very actively involved in not just a university setting, but in a more, business-oriented setting. And for 3 months, we built that out. We built a beautiful website. I'd love to show you, I think, that as well. And we felt we felt like we had really launched something that was going to make a big difference. And in essence, it really did. We got the attention of a lot of people. I'm going to show you the website. It's kind of like my website was like the wedding dress at my wedding. I felt like we built something that really stated a very strong brand. We were here to really bring the group together. It allowed us to create ways to engage all the stakeholders. And once you have a website, you feel like you've really done something. So that was one of the big outcomes of our first stage of this program. And I'd love to open it up to if anybody has any questions about how things moved forward from here. And I want this not to be just me lecturing you. So Sandra, I don't think you have any thoughts.
If you want to show us the website, I think you have to unshare and then share again because we're still seeing your slides.
You are, oh my goodness.
So unshare and then share again and shoot.
Okay, here we go. So like I said, you know, this was built on 3 different, let me see if I can find it. Where's my web? Here it is. Let's see if, is that up there now?
Hang on. It's thinking. Yes, now we see it.
You see that? So,
yes.
So like I said, we had this first piece of it, which was the discovery. We kind of figured out what we wanted to accomplish, which was to identify corporate challengers. And we identified fairly quickly 3. We had IBM, we had Transamerica, and we had Exelon, which is a huge, you know, they're out of Chicago. It's and they have a big position in Baltimore. It's an energy company. And so we moved forward, we built out our website, we started really engaging the community. And that was the first big milestone of it. And so the website identified not only, you know, the quote companies who were being involved, which ended up being IBM, HealthWorks, and SCNH, and that's a whole nother story, but also those who were in our innovation community, who are the supporters and part of the ideation and planning committee. And those were these players. We socialized this challenge very rapidly. And, you know, things were going pretty well. Like by October, we'd identified 3 challengers. Our goal was to have 5. But we realized by that point, the notion of having an in-person event was really falling apart. And so you can imagine this was a true exercise of continuous understanding and pivoting. It was like any startup trying to build out and understand how they can support an industry. And it was done with the efforts of our, you know, innovation community leaders, who again are volunteers, and me, to understand the appetite. But, you know, we moved forward. We felt very strong going into October. We'd had those 3 challengers commit. And, you know, as we know, as October moved forward, you know, this is kind of the good, bad, and ugly of COVID. We had plans in the very beginning to bring on 5 to 10 corporate challengers. And we had 3 going into October. And by the end of November, we were building the plane and we were flying it, and 2 jumped off. No. So by the end of by November, you're sitting there going, okay, I'm trying to build a program where we are actually going to have an event, or it was scheduled to have an event in the spring. What is this really going to look like? So, you know, it was with the help and the mindsets of those who were in the ideation and planning team, we just continued to move forward. As you know, in the month of, and I might have put out there, and I'll put that out again, if I can stop this share and put back my other slide, I'll show you where we were in kind of what we perceived as the phases. We were in the second phase 2, which was basically the build phase. And in the build phase, our goal was to create marketing materials, emails. We had the website up there, but we were going to have to like build out further pieces of it. But you know what? It was very, very, very difficult to understand exactly what was going to be ahead of us. So we pulled everything back, we regrouped, and we built out the notion that it would be a virtual challenge, that we were going to launch a virtual challenge in the month of February, and create programming to really explain the mindset of what we were trying to achieve, to bring in different players within the community who could speak on behalf of the value of what we're trying to successfully put out there. Our corporate challengers ended up, after the two jumped off, we were able to identify two others. Our first one, IBM, became the really, truly the marquee challenger, and their goal was to build a leading quantum computing industry in the state of Maryland. We had strong leadership. We have one of the top 10 quantum computing industry curriculums at the University of Maryland. We were very excited about that. It's an initiative that's growing. So for many reasons, it really serves the market. We're trying to create a heightened awareness of innovation and the notion of open source and open innovation in our ecosystem. IBM was a classic opportunity for us. Our second that came out was a local, very innovative accounting firm, which is more than just a traditional accounting and tax firm. And they came out with a challenge which we loved. It's to reimagine the professional workspace by establishing an effective hybrid environment to benefit clients, colleagues, and community. Very excited about that. We all know that is something by the fall, and certainly by February, we had realized the notion of a traditional workspace in so many industries had really gone to the wayside. And people were really trying to understand how are we going to re-engage our community to come back to work. And then our third that came out, which was HealthWorks. And HealthWorks' goal was to advance health equity by engaging communities and improving and managing healthcare. Obviously, wildly hot topic. And theirs is to help engage with these community programs to build out a healthier, more cohesive relationship with HealthWorks, which is the venture and innovation arm of Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they are a payer. It was very, very compelling because they were providing an entree to a payer network. And those in the health industry can realize that's hugely important, whether you have a service or a medical device technology that you're trying to build. So we had three very solid opportunities, and we moved forward with a fairly significantly confidence going into that. Those releases were sent out actually in the third week of February. They hit the market. I didn't get into how everybody actually was positioning, and I'd like to go and say that one of the goals of these challenges that we wanted to provide a format so that people could look at the website and they didn't have to go to the challenge release programs. And so the website was built to, and are you seeing the website again or no?
No, not yet. Go ahead and hit.
Okay, I got to get back. I think I've got to get back out of this. What? Someday we have to figure out how to do a better job of making it very fluid to share your screen through. Here it is. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So for each corporate challenger, what we did is we created through our website kind of like would be a RFP. So on the website, under each of the corporate challengers, we created a platform where they they had their own page. And when you go into the page, you're able to see a video. Everybody did a 2-minute video explaining what they're doing with their challenge. And you can click on that and you could hear a 2-minute video where the corporation's saying why they're doing it. Here's the CEO, the new CEO. And then they had, we actually had some Q&A that was available. So everybody had the same information, whether you attended the webinar or you did not. As I said, I really loved the components of this. We had a very thorough challenge statement here. We included kind of the challenge background. And then we had this response submission form. So everybody could go to the website, get an opportunity to kind of get, close to the challenge. And then they could actually support that challenge and submit their responses. What we required of everyone was an up to 2-page abstract or a proposal, a brief value proposition, executive statement of, I believe it was 500 characters or less, and then a video up to 3 minutes of their value proposition. So we were trying to give everybody the chance to kind of show their stuff in 3 different ways that kind of gave the corporations an understanding of not only the idea, but the company and the people who supported the idea. I loved that piece of it. It was a combination of learnings that we got from a variety of other similar programs around the country, although there were none that were exactly like ours. But I think this, it really, I would say, supported the needs of the initiative. So again, I'm kind of telling the good, bad, and the ugly of it. Is we had some great opportunities. We had some great pieces to this program. But I'll tell you, people say there's, never waste a crisis. But maybe what you all realized in working through the last year is it was very hard to get the attention of the community. It was really hard to get people to focus on something that they didn't own. And we had in Maryland, and maybe Michigan had very similar scenario, where our founders and our innovation leaders of the centers were very busy leveraging all the grants that were coming out of every pocket of every piece. I mean, Maryland grants, we had, grants coming, private grants, $10,000 grants, $50,000 grants, PPE, you don't have to pay your employees. There were so many grant applications that were going out there. What we found is that people were so busy. They were so distracted. And it really took not only email and social media sharing, all of those different pieces that were part of the plan. It took strategic outreach. It took going to organizations and saying, hey, I think you've got what these people need. Can you please submit a program or a proposal? So as we moved through, if you look, and I'll share what our timeline looked like for this the actual program, we found that people, are you seeing it now? Okay. We found that people were just overwhelmed, and our program was actually going to be, our program was released in February, and we ended up, it was supposed to be, the response deadline was supposed to be April the 5th. We ended up having to move that to the 19th, because on the 5th, we had for HealthWorks, which was the healthcare, we have a very strong healthcare basis, we had about 12 responses. For the quantum, we had 2. And for the future of work, we had 1. And with all of you don't know when you put a grant out there, and I curate grants too, you don't know until the last day what you're going to get. So I extended the deadline another 2 weeks, and we did get we ended up getting about 18 for the health equity. We ended up getting 3 for the future of work, and we never received more for the quantum. And for the healthcare piece, we were very happy. And not only were they and are they very compelling business propositions, but I think they're very well thought out. Certainly HealthWorks was very excited. But we look, and it gave me pause for the future of work, and it gave me real pause for quantum. But again, you put something out there, and you don't. It's like spaghetti on the wall. You don't know what you should know until you step back and you reflect. I can say that during the process, we were concerned because we knew that all programs were having a lot of problems getting participation. In our region, and this is some of the good, bad, and the ugly, people were beating the doors to give away grants. And so I don't know if it's universal, but that's how things were going in Maryland during COVID. And I can tell you, I'm with everybody here who's saying, I'm all for in-person. I think we need to have in-person contact to truly engage and to truly help people find value. Because so much of what we do as an organization comes down to making connections, to making deliberate connections, to creating information and getting people's attention to move forward. So bottom line, where we are with this challenge right now is all of the challenge responses have been delivered to our corporation. Are moving forward, and they are reviewing the challenges, and they'll make a decision by actually June the 2nd, and then we'll make we'll be making our challenge outcome announcements in early June, the week of June the 7th. And we will have an outcome celebration in the fall, and we're trying to attach it to one of our other programs that are going out. We're not going to have an individual program because, quite frankly, we don't even know what people's appetites are going to be to get back out from behind their screens. So in all of that, what I wanted to tell you is, and share with you, is our major learnings. And I think in this, maybe if nothing else, you can say, well, I don't feel so bad. I don't feel like I'm here, I've been out here trying to help people and they're not responding, or we're not getting to the sort of supportive programs. I think Zoom has given us all, and certainly by February, people hit a wall. And I don't know if that was the way others felt. It became a really long year. And but I still am very positive, and I'm encouraged to think that people are getting excited about thinking differently and doing differently and looking back on the past year and learning from it and understanding how maybe we are going to have to pivot, embracing the things that we've learned that we want to start incorporating about maybe being more efficient in how we network. But my hope and goal and my vision is that people will want to get back together again, and we will want to be more in a sharing community. So the first learning is pretty basic. And if you see my screen, it's going to be a lot harder than you think. And people told me in the beginning, they were like, Betsy, this is really hard. And I was like, I think this is great. We were chugging along by October. We had a website. We had people engaged. They were excited about it. We had all the aligned associations, and we really socialized it. So it wasn't just MBIA putting this on. It was owned by the ecosystem. It was owned by the Maryland Tech Councils. It was owned by TEDCO, our major technology commercialization engine, Maryland Department of Commerce, and all the aligned associations. But it was owned in idea, but the bandwidth was not there. So, as I said, move further about major learnings, it's you need to create a team of trusted and dedicated supporters who will help you through the entire process. I mean, by February, I want you to know I was the lone soldier standing. And it was very, very hard. And it was a very lonely experience because you're thinking you got this network, but they were overwhelmed with what they were doing. And I don't blame them, but people say don't waste a crisis. Don't waste a crisis, but you really do need an army behind you. You need to have people who are very committed to it. So being a lone soldier, this was very, very hard. Be strategic and selective of who you engage with as a corporate challenger. And the reason I say that is play to your industry strengths. Healthcare obviously is hot. Quantum is so nascent. People don't even know what quantum is. I certainly, I learned a lot. It's very beguiling, but it's not a built industry. So, and then also the future of work was nebulous. There's some great thinkers. I think people were reticent to put themselves out there and say, hey, I've got the answer. We did get a couple very excellent submissions, and I think they'll move forward to be great thought leaders in this industry, but it was hard. I'd say listen to all the stakeholders. Feedback's a gift. As you're going, be nimble, pivot. Accept people's suggestions. You really need to gain agreement and supports on all pieces of the program. And I mean, I say that even like the webinars, the webinars were, they were bootstrap webinars. We didn't have budgets to get someone to edit them after they were live, they were gritty, they were people asking questions. Some of them we had like 80 to 90 participants. Some of them we had 40 or 50, but we just kind of moved through it, and it wasn't perfect. But we wanted to get these programs out there. And I think for some brands, they were like, hey, this is kind of too gritty for us. But I'm like, this is the startup community. We're not perfect. So you need to be very forthcoming with information. I established MOUs with our clients. They didn't have, our corporate challengers. You have to write an MOU. You got to get them to sign it. People wanted NDAs, and you're like, we don't do NDAs. There's so many pieces to this. And I can tell you, I would love to, on a one-on-one, if anybody's looking to do something that's a little bigger, I am actually going, in your state that you've never done. And I always say, if you want something you've never had, you're going to do things you've never done. I am happy to talk to people about, the different pieces along the way. I've had to establish language for all of the different pieces. There was a lot of writing. There was a lot of connecting. There were a lot of meetings that didn't turn into anything. And I think that there's some great, there's an opportunity here to actually create this mechanism for crowdsourcing our market. And we actually, during the middle of this, BIC Worldwide, the BIC Pens, they are very, very innovative organization. They looked to us and they were like, hey, we kind of want what you're doing, and we'd like to crowdsource your market. There may be an opportunity for a concierge kind of initiative. There could be ways that we can just strategically use this for instance, accelerators, that we can use the same kind of platform and do this outreach so the honest doesn't go on to the individual individual accelerators, incubators, et cetera. Our intention is that this will be evergreen. But right now, after having gone through this program, I submitted, and it's the happy ending of, or maybe it's a happy ending to me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put forth a fairly significant research project to understand what people's appetites were, get their feedback on what we did, and then move forward with better, ear to the ground of all the stakeholders. I interviewed too many economic development leaders when I embraced on this. I should have been talking more deeply to the corporate community, and actually more deeply to the founder community. What do they want? I worked for, and one of the things I didn't say is that I worked for a startup for 21 years. It was a $1.3 billion when it was sold, but we worked like Daniel Boone's. And you know what we wanted? We wanted new clients. And one of the things I'm finding that maybe we've created here in our ecosystems is that people want grants, they want VCs, they want, everybody's out there looking for their next SBIR grant in Maryland because we're all, we're very close into that. Clients, customer discovery, having the opportunity to talk to Care First to say, hey, could your organization, do you see the value of what we're doing for home care would you as a payor support this? How powerful is that? To talk to IBM about quantum computing in the Medicare or in the medical industry or in cybersecurity or all of them. It's very powerful, but founders got caught up in grants. They got caught up in, the PPE for, employee, salary reimbursements for all the things. So, right now we're going to be stepping back. We're going to be interviewing our community, and we're going to take that information and we're going to move forward as we see it will work best. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly of the Maryland Business Innovation Challenge. And I'd love to take any questions from anybody if you guys are still listening after this. I think it was a great exercise, but it was hard.